Right. So for your actions and options this year, you have the Tree of Life card. This is actually one of my favorite cards across all of my decks, as I say every time this card shows up. And the reason I love it so much is because this represents what I call divine intervention and divine assistance, right? So the intervention is sometimes where the divine delay or the divine detour shows up, right? Which shows up as delays or like a reorientation of your life sat nav. And the assistance is where literally something of a divine nature happens where you're like, wow, you know what? That's such an amazing coincidence. I can't believe this has shown up for me in my life. Now, your actions and options and interactions, this is about what you do, what you initiate, what you put out into the world. And this suggests that basically this year, all of your footsteps truly are guided. This year, the universe is really looking out for you. And that most of the time, it's going to be like lucky breaks, signs, symbols, synchronicities, and you're going to be like, wow, this is incredible. Every so often, it's going to be that a door closes. It's going to be that that thing that you wanted or that person that you wanted or that connection that you wanted doesn't go ahead. And this is one of those times where it's like, you know, I think you've heard the saying where they say like rejection is God's protection. This is very much that kind of energy. So this year you are being guided, even in those moments where you don't get what you want, you are likely to get something that is so much better and so much better suited for you in your life path and where you're at this moment in time. So, you know, if you have moments this year where you think like, oh man, you know, I'm gutted, I really wanted that, like I can't believe it, like, you know, the heavens hate me or whatever, it's not the case. It's actually that they are providing you with way more than you need elsewhere. Into it. Right? So your new moon this year is on the 30th of December, and this is at 9 degrees. So your new moon is an interesting one for sure. It's a somewhat lonely new moon, and it's because it's completely unaspected, which means not only is this a fresh start for you, but it's a moment where you can really ask yourself, what do you desire for yourself and for your life for the year ahead of you? What do you perceive and believe the next chapter of your life holds in store? Your ruler Saturn is setting up a T-square at this time as well with Jupiter, which is retrograde, and Mercury. So this is this is in deeply personal houses for you, right? It's going to show up on the ground. You'll feel this on a more sort of visceral level. Okay, so for your January, you have the Judgment card. So this tells me a few things, but before we get into that, remember the astrological transits that I mentioned here, you're going to get much more detail from your astrological cheat sheet. I haven't got the time to go into it here, right? That being said, so it's there for you. You can read it in your own time and leisure. That being said, it's also worth mentioning that January, April, May, July, and November are the challenge months of this year. So keep your eye on the wider world stage. For January and for the year ahead, you have the Judgment card. This does suggest there are big changes. This is going to be a huge year for you, right? The Judgment card can very often show up when there's a crossroads of some sort. This is usually a big point of change in our lives. And this is kind of like a herald of big changes that are about to start happening. And this card, I actually call it as well one of the blast from the past cards. So this year, I wouldn't be surprised if you're reconnecting with things, places, or people from your past. It's not necessarily that you're supposed to reconnect with these people. It may literally just be because you're meant to assimilate the lessons that they taught you, all right? And sometimes that literally is it. It's like you get it, you see them again, you're like, okay, I understand what you taught me about myself, about my ideas, about my relationship style, whatever the case might be. Thank you, I can move on, right? It's very rare that it's meant to be an actual reconnection. That being said, the Judgment card, like I said, this is a crossroads. This is a big moment of change. So this is like the grand clearing of the decks before you take before you take a step onto a new plateau in some way. So it's going to be an interesting year for you guys. With that said, on the 2nd of January, at the beginning of the year, as we come into the year, we start with the Mercury retrograde. Don't freak out. It literally ends very early on the 2nd of January. So right? And last year we started with a Mars retrograde, a Mercury retrograde. It was a very heavy, slow start to the year. We don't have that energy this year. Yes, there's the post-retrograde hangover. It won't be anywhere near as, as intense or anything like that. So I think it's going to be a pretty good start to the year. For us personally, on the wider world stage, not so sure. That being said, on the 21st of the month, Pluto is coming into the sign of Aquarius. This is coming into your second house of money, finances, resources. This is a pretty big deal for you guys. On the 8th of September, it will come back into your sign in Capricorn, right? It's going to clear up the last bits of what it's got to do with there. And then on November the 20th, it comes into the sign of Aquarius full-time into your second house of money, finances, resources, and personal outlook, right? Your personal outlook and adaptability. Sorry, your personal outlook, self-esteem, and also your value system, what you find truly, what you place worth and value on. Now, that being said, for the clarifying energy you have, all right. So I always shuffle my cards before I get on camera, but I like to do it on cam so that people know what they get is the luck of the draw. For this, you have the Tower card, right? So that's like a big culmination. That's a big completion, a big ending of some sort. Something, as you start the year, you're starting it with a bang, right? Something is kind of going, like the Tower card is usually shocking or disruptive. So for some of you, because it is with the Judgment card, this could literally be a blast from the past that blows your socks off. Let's say you go out with friends, or maybe you're on your way to work, or maybe you're going to the gym and you run into somebody and you think, holy crap, you are the last person that I would have ever thought to have run into here, right? For good or for ill, whatever it is what it is, right? The Tower card tends to be quite disruptive. Another way that this could potentially show up for you is that you make a breakneck shift of some sort. So let's say you're, going about your business happily, and then you say, right, I'm leaving my job tomorrow, I'm going to become an artist. I'm sorry, wait, what? Do you know what I mean? Like something like, just be mindful of this, because obviously whatever's happening on the wider world stage, we're all going to be feeling this, right? In some way, shape or form. And because Pluto is moving out of Capricorn, I do wonder if this means that we're going to see it in the bigger or larger structures of the world in January, whatever is taking place. On a more personal level though, for those of you that have had chronic or health issues, you could actually come into a realization at this point, or maybe you get some test results and you're like, okay, wow, didn't expect it to be that, but now that I know, right? It's like you get some kind of knowledge or information that completely changes your mind on something or makes you aware of something.